I will show you exactly what the spot was early in my painting that ended up being this. Meine Freunde, how's it going? My name is Jessica. I painted this painting and I will show you how. I'm all over the place art-wise, but on my YouTube channel I focus on the pouring part. I might change that up in the future just to keep you guys on board. But for now, we're gonna talk about this guy. It is just black and white with some gold accents. In this painting especially, you will get a feel for how much your composition will expand. I had so much more on this canvas and I lost it all because you have to make decisions. That is the thing you can learn for life. Here with fluidart, every decision has a consequence and all you have to do is be okay with consequences. Let's do this. So if you want to learn the bloom technique, the basics are fairly easy. You work with 3 different layers. The first layer is a fairly cheap house paint. I use the PPG Multi Pro. It's their white base. And why this works so well is it's thin, but also dense enough to have your composition on top and expanded with your pillow paint. That's the reason why we use the so-called pillow paint. That's the first layer. What I'm doing here is put on the 3rd layer on top of my palette knife. And the reason why I start with the 3rd layer is I will flip over my palette knife so that layer becomes the last one added. Here's oxide black. This is the 2nd layer that should be in the middle, and it's mixed with a deep base, untinted house paint, and there's different recipes out there. The original way was to use a deep base mixed with varnish. The last layer I put on was a boom gel in black, which is basically just acrylic paint out of the bottle. You can mix it with your pouring medium, which is again a deep base untinted house paint. More information is down in the description box. Also feel free to ask me. I will come up with a mixing video fairly soon, so you guys won't have any questions anymore. So my idea is to play around. I want to stay minimal, which means I want to keep most of my white pillow paint, but I have some kind of a design on top of that. So I scoop up some paints and I drag them around. I basically paint with my palette knife. It's nothing else than that. The next swipe I'll do same way. I add my 3rd layer, which is the cell activator. It's mixed with Australian floetrol. Again, all the recipes are down in the description box. This is my black mixed with a pouring medium. My 2nd layer. This is part of the 2nd layer. It is kind of an odd thing, but you can use the boom gel right out of the bottle without having it to mix with the pouring medium, but you can. All you want to do is skim the surface with this. Don't go too deep, don't go too light. There's a sweet spot, but also play around with this. If you're a beginner, just see what the paint does. What we're doing here is learning a craft, and with any kind of craft, if it's watercolor painting, if it's oil painting, if it's wood carving, if it's making coffee, you learn a certain skill set, get used to it, and then you start developing your own ideas and mix things up, just like I did. but it's so important to learn the basics first. So the idea here again was to leave a lot of negative space. The gold is a cell activator. I added a white cell activator, and the blacks are not a cell activator. It is the boom gel and black mixed with my pouring medium. And the reason why I use two different blacks is they have different qualities. When I mix my oxide black, it becomes, the more I stretch it, almost a gray. See right there how that happens? And the boom gel is very stretchy. So you will see a difference between the two blacks. The boom gel will stay very, very dark and you can stretch the lines forever, while the pouring medium and black mix becomes a little fainter. It will have more gradients, that kind of thing. So I told you in the intro, there's a lot of my canvas that won't show in the end. And so I always say there's two parts to this kind of painting. One is applying the paint, and the second one is the stretching. You stretch by tilting and spinning. I use the tilting usually for bringing the paints in the spot I want it, and the spinning is just to help me distribute the paint fast and equally. It is always a mix of both. If you only spun, then you will end up with your mass of paint right in the center of your painting. And that will, if you leave it like that, if you leave it to dry like that, it will probably collect in the middle because it's on the canvas. It will sag in the middle and the mass of paint will just help the paint to collect back in the middle. So you want to tilt a little bit to get that mass of paint out of the middle so you don't end up with bad cells or even cracking. So the tilting is really to find your composition, to move the paints around to, yes, make your cells bigger, but also to fine-tune it, to get rid of stuff that you don't like. And I say this in every video, but it's so important. And here's the point when I'm getting rid of a lot of my paint. And when I post on Facebook, a lot of the comments are, oh, I wish you would have stopped after the second spin, or I liked it better without the spin, or why did you spin so much? The thing is, you have to get rid of the paint. And if you don't want to tilt or spin, you will end up with a thick layer of paint that will give you trouble when you're drying your painting. Usually it will crack. When the layer of paint is too thick, the paints will be unstable and probably create wonky cells. So this is my O that's left over. If I'd used less of the pillow paint, you guys, I would have not had to tilt so much paint off. This is where I'm getting at, and I try to do the best of it. I will show you a flyover right now, and then in the end the whole thing dry. I also will show you exactly what the spot was early in my painting that ended up being this. Monochromatic paintings are so much fun. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do so, why don't you click the like button? Maybe give me a comment if you didn't like it and tell me why. That is actually the important part to me. Tell me why you don't like things. And then, oh, subscribe. Tell other people about my channel. And yep, here we go. Look at those cells. I love them. Faint gold, and it will stay that way. I'll show you in a sec. Here we are. Show you my light switch. Look at the gold sparkling. I love the small detail of it. You can see the gray and the black and the difference of it. And I kind of want to show you guys what this part was on my initial painting, so you can really see what a difference it makes from the first swipe to the stretched out dried painting. Check this out. This is the dried painting, and this is what I'm painting. Did you see similarities, and do you see that the whole bottom half, more than half, is gonna be gone? Everything that's in that circle is what's gonna be left on my dried painting. Isn't that a trip? If I'd known before, I would have not done anything to the bottom part of my painting, because all that paint is just gonna go, and it would be wasted. Also, I could have just used way less pillow paint, so that all that I painted on top of the pillow paint will expand, but most of it will keep on the canvas. It's a tricky business, but it's fun to figure it out. And that's why I'm here for. See you next time.